Worried about what is going on in Israel right now. I'm worried about the consequences of what will happen if this reform, this legal reform is passing, and I thought my voice needs to be heard. I do hope to go back to for another 2 decades of silence after this will pass.
What is the fundamental fear that you have?
My biggest concern is that if this reform passes, the independence of the judicial branch, the courts in Israel, which are a very important element of democracy, will be hurt, and the unintended consequences, but real consequences, will be that Israel will lose its status and its core values as a democracy. And I think that has huge consequences, both economically, because foreign investors will not feel as safe to invest in the country. I think it has a huge impact on the cohesiveness, on the lack of social cohesiveness in the country. This country is now torn apart. You can see hundreds of thousands of people in the streets. I think both sides are patriots. I don't think the people that have presented this reform really mean to abolish democracy or to hurt human rights. But there are unintended consequences, and economical research and historical research shows that when you hurt the courts, you hurt democracy.
When you started speaking about this and you raised it, the first thing that comes to everybody's mind is he going to stop investing? Is he going to tell other people not to invest? That's the power you have.
So I will not stop investing, and I also said publicly I haven't taken a penny out of Israel, and I actually think that the debate that we have actually shows the resilience of Israeli democracy. The vibrant discussion we have is actually a good one. However, if this reform passes in its current form, I hope reason will prevail, and I'd like to believe that it will not. But if it does, Israel will become a much less attractive place for many people, and I'm concerned. Personally, I'm committed to Israel. I'm not going away. This is my country. I'm a huge believer in Israeli tech. Israeli tech is the miracle of Israel, and I do believe Israeli tech will continue to thrive, but we need democratic institutions for that.
There's a constitutional crisis that's going to happen if it passes. There's questions of whether who will invest and who won't invest. And the cohesion of the country is being pulled apart. And the startup nation is what? Stopped?
The world is a volatile place right now. Things can change very quickly. And I think that this miracle, which is called the startup nation or scale-up nation, the Israeli tech ecosystem, which is the 5th largest in the world in a very tiny country, it's an enormous part of the Israeli economy. It is under an existential threat if we cannot resolve this crisis. But I have to assume we are able to. I think it is time for the leaders on both sides to understand this problem needs to be solved immediately.
Those who are on both sides have been warned 1,000,000 times by very senior people, yourself, former heads of the central bank, leading tech entrepreneurs at all levels, legal officers, the president himself has said, but they're barreling on regardless.
They may think that this is all about politics. They may think that some of those people are speaking out because of their political views. It's not true. We are truly concerned about the country. Many of the hundreds of thousands of people in the streets are actually voting for Netanyahu and his government. They do support his policy. They just do not support hurting the independence of the courts and the democratic values of the country.
How easy will it be for a salami slicing of Israeli tech? It's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to find everybody heading to the door. But, you know, one year you'll suddenly notice the numbers were lower than the last. And over time, because you could pick this up tomorrow and move.
90% of the high-tech investment comes from abroad. If that stops, there is an immediate threat.